Over half a century ago, right before Thanksgiving in 1971, an individual stepped onto a flight from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. What was meant to be a short 37-minute trip took an unexpected turn when he informed a flight attendant via a note that he had a bomb. His demands were clear: $200,000, equivalent to over $1.3 million today, and 4 parachutes. The remaining 35 passengers were suddenly caught in a hijacking, far from the anticipated holiday feast. This individual was on the verge of executing what could be considered the most audacious hijacking in history. Don't miss a moment of this thrilling journey. Subscribe to our channel now for more true crime stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. On November 24, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving, a man in his 40s, Dan Cooper, purchased a ticket in cash for a Seattle-bound flight on a Northwest Orient Airlines Boeing 727 from Portland Airport. His appearance didn't stand out, about 5 feet 11 inches, weighing roughly 175 pounds with brown eyes and dark skin. He was dressed in a light black coat, dark suit, white shirt, and black tie secured with a mother-of-pearl pin, complemented by moccasins and carrying a small briefcase. The flight, only about a third full, had Cooper among its 36 passengers. Choosing a seat near the back, close to where a flight attendant sat, he lit a cigarette and ordered bourbon with soda, as smoking was still permitted on board. Soon after, he handed a note to a flight attendant. Mistaking it for a flirtatious gesture, she initially ignored it, thinking it contained a date invitation and phone number. However, Cooper quietly urged her to read the note, revealing he was carrying a bomb. Upon revealing the contents of his briefcase showing several cylinders connected by wires to a large battery, Cooper instructed the alarmed flight attendant to sit beside him. He then detailed his demands: $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills, along with 2 sets of parachutes, each comprising a main and a reserve, specifying they should be for sports use, not military. He made it clear the plane would only land in Seattle once the cash and parachutes were ready, threatening to set off the bomb otherwise. The flight attendant relayed his conditions to the pilots, who in turn notified air traffic control, prompting involvement from the police and the FBI. The flight, typically a brief journey from Portland to Seattle, ended up circling the airport for over 2 hours, as authorities scrambled to gather the ransom and locate the specified parachutes. To keep the passengers calm, they were informed of a technical delay. Throughout this ordeal, Cooper remained composed, engaging courteously with the crew. He donned large sunglasses, ordered another bourbon with a generous tip, and even suggested the pilots be provided with meals upon landing, hinting at a show he had planned. Upon landing, Cooper demanded the aircraft be refueled and cabin lights dimmed to prevent airport snipers from seeing inside. After receiving the ransom and parachutes, he released all passengers and 2 flight attendants, keeping another attendant, the 2 pilots, and a flight engineer on board. Cooper then specified new conditions for the flight. Head southeast towards Mexico City at the slowest speed possible, around 185 kilometers per hour, at a maximum altitude of 3,000 meters, with the aircraft's landing gear down and wing flaps set at 15 degrees. The pilots pointed out that with these settings they'd run out of fuel before reaching Mexico. Cooper consented to a refueling stop in Reno, Nevada, which was over 2 hours away. At 1940 local time, the aircraft departed Seattle. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper instructed the crew to remain in the cockpit. The last glimpse the flight attendant had of Cooper was him attaching something to his belt. By 8 p.m., a drop in cabin pressure and an alert indicated the rear door, equipped with a gangway used for boarding, had been opened. When the flight engineer inquired over the intercom if Cooper required assistance, he was met with a firm denial. 15 minutes later, the aircraft encountered a severe thunderstorm, reducing visibility to nearly zero. It was during this tumultuous weather that the aircraft's tail lifted, prompting the pilots to stabilize the plane quickly. Cooper ceased communication, leading to the plane's landing in Reno at 10:15 p.m. with the aft ladder extended, as it couldn't be retracted from the cockpit. Upon touchdown, law enforcement and the FBI quickly encircled the plane, yet Cooper remained elusive. Eventually, the crew captain ventured into the cabin to find it empty. A thorough search confirmed the hijacker had vanished, taking with him a set of parachutes, the ransom money, and the suitcase presumed to contain the bomb. Cooper's whereabouts and fate have since remained an unresolved enigma. Initially, FBI agents conducted a detailed search of the aircraft, discovering over 60 fingerprints unrelated to passengers and crew and not recorded in FBI databases. The note Cooper handed to the flight attendant was taken back by him, along with the bourbon glass and Raleigh brand cigarette remains he used, none of which were found later. Another significant clue left behind was a set of parachutes, from which Cooper had removed several straps likely to secure the money bag to himself. The most tangible piece of evidence recovered in the cabin was Cooper's tie, complete with a clasp and mother-of-pearl pin, found lying on a seat near where Cooper was seated. DNA traces on the tie were analyzed and compared with those of suspects, yet no matches were found. This led the FBI to speculate that the DNA might not even belong to Cooper, suggesting the tie could have been borrowed or previously owned. In the 2010s, advanced analysis revealed titanium particles on Cooper's tie, leading to speculation that he might have been an engineer or manager in the chemical or metalworking industry. The discovery of cerium and strontium sulfide on the tie also kept alive the theory that Cooper could have been associated with Boeing, as these elements were involved in the development of the Boeing 2707 supersonic aircraft.
The periodical table of clues, say scientists, suggests Cooper had access to a manufacturing company that made airplanes, like the one he jumped from, perhaps a company with a connection to Boeing.
This period also saw search efforts intensified in the wooded and mountainous regions near the Columbia and Lewis Rivers, roughly 50 kilometers from Portland, hypothesizing Cooper's return to his starting point. However, pinpointing his exact landing location proved challenging. Cooper's timing, just before Thanksgiving, worked to his advantage, with many law enforcement officers away for the holiday weekend, giving him a significant lead. Despite extensive searches and distributing the serial numbers of the ransom bills to entities like casinos, racetracks, and banks, none of the money was ever recovered, adding to the enduring mystery of Cooper's fate and whereabouts. In November 1978, a poster detailing how to lower the aft stairs of Boeing 727 airplanes was discovered by a hunter near a forest road, an area overflown by Cooper's hijacked flight. Fast forward to 1980, 8-year-old Brian Ingram, while on a family vacation by the Columbia River in a region potential Y within Cooper's landing zone, stumbled upon 3 bundles of $20 bills while preparing a campfire site. These bills were confirmed to be part of the ransom given to Cooper, preserved in the sequence in which they were original Y bundled for the ransom. This discovery suggested the cash may have dropped during Cooper's parachute jump and had been buried in sand and water since then.
Hijacker D.B. Cooper, the first break in the only unsolved airplane hijacking in United States history, came on a Columbia River beach. 8-year-old boy dug up the shreds of $3,000 on Sunday.
Despite exhaustive searches along the Columbia River bank close to where the money was found, no additional clues emerged. In 1986, after protracted discussions, a portion of the found money was split between the Ingram family and Northwest Orient Airlines insurer. While the FBI retained 14 bills for evidence, Brian Ingram auctioned 15 of these bills in 2008 for around $37,000. Out of the total 290 bills found on the riverbank, the fate of the remaining 9,610 bills remains a mystery. The feasibility of Cooper's survival post-jump was initially considered plausible by investigators, who speculated he had a military background, perhaps as a paratrooper or a pilot, implying he was skilled in skydiving. He made his escape directly into a storm, a strategic move to evade detection by military aircraft, tracking the hijacked Boeing 727 from Seattle. Witnesses also noted Cooper's familiarity with the terrain below, even identifying landmarks in the dark. Veterans from World War II and the Vietnam War acknowledged that, despite harsh weather conditions, a parachute jump could be executed successfully with adequate preparation and skill. However, as the FBI delved deeper, skepticism regarding Cooper's survival grew. The jump was made into a storm with zero visibility, facing high winds, rain, and freezing temperatures, dressed only in a light suit and moccasins. Potential landing scenarios included frigid waters or snowy mountain peaks, and, notably, Cooper hadn't requested a helmet with his parachutes, raising further doubts about his survival odds. Crucially, Cooper selected the oldest of the 2 primary parachutes provided to him in a rushed decision at a Seattle parachute school. Authorities included a non-functional training parachute that was intentionally sewn, shut and incapable of opening, which Cooper took as a backup. Such dummy units are usually marked to indicate they are not operational, a detail a seasoned parachutist would recognize. For almost 10 years, the FBI, police, and military extensively searched the suspected landing zone, including underwater explorations in nearby rivers and lakes using submarines. Although they discovered several bodies and identified each, none were Cooper. Moreover, no evidence such as the parachute, the bomb suitcase, or any related items were ever found, deepening the mystery of Cooper's fate and the outcome of his daring escape. The mystery of Dan Cooper, a name synonymous with an unsolved hijacking case, has puzzled America for over 50 years without a resolution. Initially, it was obvious that Dan Cooper was an alias. The FBI, lacking leads, briefly questioned a local minor criminal, D.B. Cooper, finding him uninvolved. A journalist's error in reporting D.B. Cooper as the hijacker led to widespread media misreporting. Despite corrections from authorities, the hijacker was erroneously immortalized as D.B. Cooper in American history. 3 weeks post-hijacking, the Los Angeles Times received a letter claiming to be from Dan Cooper. The author stated he had roughly a year to live and justified the hijacking as the quickest, most lucrative way to secure his final days. Subsequent letters varied in tone and content, with some portraying the hijacking as a triumph over the system and the government. One letter boasted, "I had to use what Uncle Sam taught me, and now I'm a very rich man." None of these communications offered the FBI any actionable leads. The investigation into Dan Cooper's identity attracted numerous suspects, with around 200 people implicated over time. More than 100 individuals voluntarily approached the police, claiming to be Dan Cooper. Additional why, a few confessed to the hijacking on their deathbeds. Many suggested that the hijacker resembled one of their relatives or friends. There was also a speculative theory proposing Dan Cooper might have been a fictional female pilot. Despite a thorough examination of these leads, none yielded any substantial findings. Among the myriad suspects, Vietnam War veteran Richard McCoy emerged as the FBI's prime candidate. McCoy executed a similar hijacking of a Boeing 727 in April 1972, using a pistol and a grenade for leverage and demanding $500,000 before parachuting away with the cash.
The young man wanted $500,000 and requested 4 parachutes.
Despite his capture 2 days later, authorities couldn't link him to the earlier case.
He was arrested here in his home in Provo, Utah, early this morning. When the FBI men came, he did not resist.
McCoy's demeanor differed from the polite Cooper, and he had an alibi for November 24, 1971, being in Las Vegas, far from the crime scene. After receiving a 45-year sentence, McCoy escaped prison 2 years later, only to be killed in a shootout with police a few months afterwards. Over 45 years, the suspect list narrowed to 10, with 60 volumes of investigative material compiled, yet no charges were filed, and Cooper's identity remains unconfirmed. In July 2016, the FBI shifted its focus from the Cooper case to other urgent crimes, though it remains open to revisiting the investigation should new evidence arise. The hijacking inspired numerous admirers and copycats, with 15 similar plane hijacking attempts recorded in 1972. As a result, airport security measures were significantly tightened the following year, introducing mandatory luggage checks and screening of suspicious passengers. Additionally, pilot cabin doors were fitted with windows to enable the crew to monitor the cabin area. To prevent similar incidents, Boeing 727s and other aircraft were equipped with a mechanism that blocked the lowering of the ventral air stair mid-flight, colloquially known as Cooper's vein. The intriguing saga of Dan Cooper, with its myriad of unsolved mysteries, has significantly influenced movies, literature, and music. Beyond documentaries and investigative works, the tale has been depicted in various artistic expressions. The 1981 adventure movie The Pursuit of D.B. Cooper, inspired by J.D. Reed's novel Free Fall, is one such example. The name D.B. Cooper also inspired the character Dale Bartholomew Cooper in the TV series Twin Peaks. A recent nod to the mystery appears in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Loki 2021, where, in the episode A Glorious Purpose, Loki is humorously revealed to be Cooper himself. That is it for this video. If you're intrigued by the baffling case of D.B. Cooper and love unraveling mysteries that defy explanation, then you're in the right place. Like this video, leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating stories just like this. I will see you in the next video.